Hey everybody, how you doing? I need to apologize in advance because I learned the hard. I'm from Amarillo, and I just realized about 45 minutes ago that you have these things here called trees. And the net result of whatever is going on with these trees, as you call them, has gotten to me in a real big way. My voice left, and I started sneezing and coughing, and I guess that's a regular feature of life for those of you that live in places where there's vegetation. So I apologize in advance if I'm a little bit raspy or raspier than usual. But you know, it seemed to me as we were, as I was listening to the earlier presentations and as we were visiting together and talking to everybody here, because we're all involved in really the same process in one way or another. And in fact, I've got to tell you, this event is great. I'm saying that primarily because the Innocence projects of Texas get funded in small measure, at least, actually in very large measure by the Task Force on Indigent Defense. So, you know, I've got to say nice things about them, or otherwise we might get cut off. But seriously, this is a great process to bring us all together. Whether you're, I look through the list and I notice a lot of you guys are administrators from various counties. You're trying to work the program. You're trying to make the Fair Defense Act mean something. And as we were, you know, if you think about it, we really have, as Mr. Spengenberg said earlier, made enormous progress in this state in a very short period of time. And it's worthy, I think, for us to just sit back and try to get a little perspective on that. I mean, for those of us that have been in this, and this is true not only with you all as administrators, but also criminal defense lawyers that have been trying to improve the process, what we've seen in just the last 5 years has been a radical advancement. And I'll tell you something else, too. Texas, you know, it's very easy for us to get a bad rap all over the place for a lot of obvious reasons. You know, we have the most convictions, we have the largest number of people in prison, and we also have the largest number of exonerations. I've been fortunate to be a big part of that process. Yet at the same time, what the press rarely captures is that we are able to respond, I think, better politically to problems that get created than most other states do. For example, we have, and you all may not know this, we have, without a doubt, the best post-conviction DNA statute in the country. Period, bar none. We have, as far as I can tell, the only high court that is making a serious effort to examine what goes wrong in their system. I was a little bit surprised a month ago to get contacted by a group of lawyers and law professors in Philadelphia who were, because, you know, we make assumptions about Pennsylvania. We figure they've got to be on the cutting edge. They're smart and they're Yankees and they've probably got it all figured out, right? Okay, well, I don't think that, but I mean, I'm from Amarillo, you know. But the truth is they're contacting us to figure out what to do with reform of the criminal justice system in their state. They're looking to Texas to figure out how to put together a post-conviction DNA statute. They're looking to Texas about how to put together a compensation statute for the wrongfully convicted. And they're looking to us to point in that direction. So I think occasionally we need to give ourselves the credit that we're honestly due when it comes down to seeing if we're really making progress in the system or not. I can tell you with, with what's being discussed and what's going to happen, I think, in the upcoming legislative session, we will probably wind up with the most progressive set of criminal justice reforms in terms of eyewitness IDs, confessions and interrogations, and a lot of other aspects than virtually any other state in the union as well. So even though we've made a lot of mistakes, we're capable of learning from them a lot. And it's with that in mind that I want to bum everybody out a little bit. Because the other thing it seemed to me is, as we're sitting in here and we're talking about the progress that we're making and what we're doing from county to county and system to system, it was really nice to do that because, I don't know about you guys, but it made me forget that the stock market is collapsing. Fortunately, I don't have a 401k to worry about. I am a criminal defense lawyer, so I don't have to worry about savings. But for those of you that have had responsible jobs all this time, I'm sure that's an issue. But seriously, as we stay in here, it's tempting to get isolated from the bigger world that's around us. I think it's pretty clear that regardless of what we may think about what's going to happen next, and nobody can be certain about that, we can probably all agree that there are big changes that are going to happen, that the world that we're going to be living in 5 years from now, and certainly the world that we deal with, where government, where the rubber of the government hits the road of the citizen, where we have to deal with the intersection of the system and the individual, is going to be very different. I have no doubt you're going to hear from Mr. Allison later on about some of the financial problems that are going to be facing counties, and I have no doubt plenty of you guys know all about that because you're having to deal with it every day. And the question becomes, what are we going to do? How are we going to ensure that not only is the Fair Defense Act enforced, and not only is it given meaning, but also how can we improve the quality of indigent defense in our various counties? Well, okay, it's easy to look at the changes that are in the offing, at the economic crisis that we are undoubtedly going to be encountering before very long, the budget crunch and the rest of it, from a negative perspective. It's easy to look at this and go, well, change is going to be hard to manage, yes. Change is going to be bad. Not necessarily. In fact, I've got to tell you, I think that in the level of ineffective assistance or effective assistance, which is, after all, the topic that I was asked to talk about, I think that the changes that we're going to be confronting are actually going to be very good. And let me try to explain that a little bit to you. I'm going to get a little personal. I've been practicing law for 25 years. I, like quite a few others that become criminal defense lawyers, started out as a real true believer all the way back in law school. This is all I wanted to do, was to get people out of prison, get people out of jail, and fight criminal cases. I was just apparently mentally ill even back then. But that's what I wanted to do. And like a lot of others that have come out through that process and been like that, have gone through varying levels of distress and demoralization as time went on. Because that's what happens when you do this kind of work, and that's what you want to do. The first thing you learn is that you're very unpopular amongst your peers for thinking that, because there are a lot of really bad criminal defense lawyers.